Fox 54 verifies all your burning questions. Government shutdown. Will it affect Alabama national park sites? And can you open carry a gun in public stores here in Alabama? Here's a rundown of all we've verified this week. As with any government shutdown, both political parties are casting the blame on each other. The Democrats claim the GOP is responsible for rising healthcare costs, while Republicans say the DNC is holding the government hostage with a, quote, far-left wish list. One of those proposals includes funding for the health care of undocumented immigrants. But do the Democrats really want to provide every undocumented immigrant free health care? Let's verify. The official White House website now has a government shutdown clock on it, titled "Democrats Have Shut Down the Government." Several GOP lawmakers are echoing this sentiment, claiming that Democrats are making outrageous, far-left requests that, quote, Americans don't agree with. One of those requests is allegedly free health care for undocumented immigrants. But are Democrats proposing free health care for undocumented immigrants? We verify. Our sources are the whitehouse.gov, the Senate Democratic Caucus, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, and the National Immigration Law Center. Here's what we found. According to a memorandum released by the White House, the Democrats are demanding that some of the reforms signed into law is the Working Families Tax Cut Act be repealed. The White House says this would result in the federal government spending nearly $200 billion on health care for illegal immigrants and non-citizens over the next decade. However, according to the Democrats' proposed Senate appropriations bill, it would only restore health care coverage for, quote, lawfully present immigrants, not for immigrants living in the U.S. illegally. In fact, there are federal laws that prohibit using federal funds to provide health care to undocumented immigrants, with one significant exception: emergency care. What the Democrats' bill does propose is extending the ACA enhanced subsidies and rolling back Medicaid cuts that were part of President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill. The biggest question here is the term, quote, lawfully present. This term refers to non-citizens who have qualified immigration status that makes them eligible for Medicaid or the Children's Health Insurance Program. This includes lawful permanent residents, refugees, and those granted asylum. The One Big Beautiful Bill changed coverage for non-citizens by capping the amount of emergency Medicaid funds that providers such as hospitals receive and reimbursement for care given to immigrants. It also changed the criteria for Medicaid enrollment to exclude those granted asylum and parolees. Parole is a legal permission granted to non-citizens that allow them to temporarily live in the U.S. for urgent humanitarian or significant public benefit reasons. About 2.8 million people were granted parole during the Biden administration. Republicans argue that parolees are in the country illegally and should not be covered under the Democrats' extension of Medicaid. So, we can confirm that Democrats are not proposing free health care for undocumented immigrants. The argument is whether parolees should be included in the term lawfully present individuals, which is not clearly defined in immigration law. If you have something you want us to verify, text us at 256-382-2692.
Is it the White House's position that furloughed workers should be paid for their back pay?
I would say it depends on who we're talking about. I can tell you this, the Democrats have put a lot of people in great risk and jeopardy, but it really depends on who you're talking about. But for the most part, we're going to take care of our people. There are some people that really don't deserve to be taken care of, and we'll take care of them in a different way.
Unsettling news for those who work for Uncle Sam. As you just heard, President Trump won't promise all furloughed federal workers back pay once the government shutdown ends. And while each side of the political aisle assigns blame to the other, those workers are caught in the middle. So can the president actually deny furloughed federal workers back pay? Let's verify. As a result of the current government shutdown, thousands of federal workers have been furloughed, in some cases even laid off. But President Trump and others are questioning whether those workers are entitled to back pay once the shutdown ends. So, can the government refuse to give furloughed workers back pay? Let's verify. Our sources are Congress.gov, the White House Office of Management, and congressional leaders: Budget Senator John Thune, House Speaker Mike Johnson, and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Following the last shutdown, President Trump signed the Government Employee Fair Treatment Act of 2019 into law, requiring back pay for federal employees after future shutdowns. However, a draft memo from the White House Office of Management and Budget says that the legislation that ends the current shutdown must include express language appropriating funds for back pay Otherwise, such payments cannot be made. The memo argues that the 2019 Act only creates conditions for Congress to authorize those payments, and that's put Congress on the spot.
The law is clear. Every single furloughed federal employee is entitled to back pay. Period, full stop. The law is clear, and we will make sure that that law is followed.
There are legal analysts who think that that is not something that government should do.
My assumption is that furloughed workers will get back pay.
So, yes, we can confirm that the Government Employee Fair Treatment Act itself does guarantee back pay following the resolution of a government shutdown. However, ambiguities make it possible for the White House to find a loophole in this law to withhold back pay from some employees. As we approach another day of the federal government shutdown, we're all beginning to feel its effects, from delayed paychecks to closed offices. The shutdown impacts millions of lives. The National Park System, just one of the dozens of federal agencies impacted by the shutdown. But will Alabama's national park sites be affected? Let's verify. The National Park System maintains more than just world-famous locales like Yellowstone. It also maintains properties, monuments, trails, and preserves across the country, including right here in Alabama. But will our national park sites be impacted by the shutdown? We verify. Our sources is the National Park Service's contingency plan. Here's what we found. According to the NPS, park roads, lookouts, trails, and open-air memorials will generally remain accessible to visitors, just with fewer employees working. This includes places like the Birmingham Civil Rights Monument, Natchez Trace Parkway, the Trail of Tears, and the Tuskegee Airmen Historic Site. But for sites without generally accessible areas, no visitor services will be provided. The NPS will not issue permits, conduct interpretive or educational programs, collect trash, operate or provide restrooms, maintain roads and walkways, or provide visitor information. If a facility or area is locked or secured during non-business hours, it will be locked for the duration of the shutdown. Park staff will post signs notifying visitors that only basic or no visitor services will be provided and emergency services will be limited. This impacts places like Little River Canyon National Preserve, Horseshoe Bend National Military Park, and Russell Cave National Monument. The NPS also says that park websites and social media will not be maintained except for emergency communications. So we can verify that, yes, some national park sites in Alabama will be impacted by the government shutdown, but the degree of the impact depends on what type of site you visit. Public's policy on the open carry of guns in its Florida stores has gone viral this week, and today our sister station 11 Alive confirmed that the same policy applies in Georgia as well. But does it apply here in Alabama? We'll verify. Some businesses that operate in states with open carry laws like Alabama ask their customers not to bring guns into their stores. For example, Costco's policy discourages bringing guns into their stores, even threatening removal of a customer's membership if they do not comply. But does Publix follow an open carry policy in Alabama in accordance with state law? We verify. Our sources are a Publix spokesperson, McElderry Law of Alabama, and the National Rifle Association. According to the NRA, open carry is legal without a permit in Alabama. This law, enacted back in 2023. Alabama also honors the carry licenses and permits of every other state. Some people assume this means you can carry your weapon anywhere you want. However, there are some locations where carrying a gun is prohibited, including government buildings, jails, and prisons and schools. Violating these restrictions can result in criminal charges even if you possess your gun legally. The public spokesperson for Alabama, Georgia, and Tennessee tells Fox 54, quote, "Treating Publix customers with dignity and respect is a founding belief at Publix, and we follow federal, state, and local laws. In any instance where a customer creates a threatening, erratic, or dangerous shopping experience, whether they are openly carrying a firearm or not, we will engage local law enforcement to protect our customers and associates. Alabama law allows the open carry of firearms. Publix follows all federal, state, and local laws," end quote. So we can verify that, yes, you can open carry a gun in public stores in Alabama, just like in Georgia and Florida. That's it for this week. If you have something you want us to verify, text us at 256-382-2692.